Hey, what is up guys, Kevin here with P.O.G, and today we're going to be going over exactly what the title says, why you should be playing at least one of all of the XYZ fusion monsters. Now, before we get into it, I'm going to be explaining why each one needs to be played, even if it is just at one in the extra deck. I think it's important to realize that whether or not you're building this deck, you should always expect to see, all four of these. Regardless of how great or useless you think they are, they all have their purposes and reasonings for being played. Let's go ahead and get started. Obviously, the most powerful one, Xyz Dragon Cannon, we all know this, pops anything at the cost of discarding a card. Obviously going to see it be played. There's no reason to discuss this. So we'll move on to the next one. Arguably, the one that everybody likes the second most using is Xyz Dragon. Why? It's super accessible through a one card, that being Union Hanger, searching the Y, summoning, and then using Union Hanger to equip the Z to the Y. There you go, you have it, right? So it's the most accessible one. 2100 is pretty good too for a one card 2100 monster. Alright, cool. Secondary effect, though, is why I'm discussing this, and it's discarding a card, then targeting a face-down monster your opponent controls, and destroying that target. Why is this important? Mainly flip monsters, flip effect monsters. You can also say stall with things like Nidoria and Giant Rat, but let's go over the flip monsters first. Obviously, you don't want to attack into these, so you just want to pop them anyways. So if you can have a one card out, well, technically it's two cards, you gotta discard a card, but if you can have a one card out for flip effect monsters so you don't lose your monsters with their effects, obviously that's really great. The second is having to do with stall or things that recur or remove themselves by battle destruction. So things like Nidoria, if you attack into it, it's going to get destroyed. Your monster's going to get destroyed by its effect. So there went your resource. Or Giant Rat, you go nowhere by attacking into him. And even then you give your opponent even more advantage. Obviously your opponent can still summon things with Giant Rat, like another Giant Rat or Amazoness Swordswoman, very obviously. So if your opponent sets, it's really important to play this. And they usually will set depending on what they play. Seeing a lot of that inner conflict apprentice magician little engine. They play Old Vindictive, so again, really important. They also play the regular apprentice. I forgot to put a regular apprentice on here too. That's another thing you can pop if they set it, so super important. Moving on to the third most liked. This card is not last, mainly for the fact that it's 2400 attack, which is nothing to scoff at when a lot of monsters that are tribute summoned are 2400 attack. Super easy to get this out. Relatively easily to get this out by sending the X-Head Cannon to the grave with Foolish Burial. But secondary effect, you can discard. Well, I guess it's primary effect. It's the only one it has, right? Really, you can discard one card, then target one face down, spell a trap. Your opponent controls, destroy that target. So we're seeing a lot more battle traps being played. Things like Widespread Ruin, even if it's at 1 or 2, super important. You can even hit things like the mirror wall before you attack. So you would summon XZ Tank Cannon before if you're worried about back row. If you know your opponents, if you're going into game 2 or 3 and you know your opponent plays back row, you're obviously going to summon this. We'll talk about ratios in a minute for these guys down here, but things like negate attack as well. Anything that's a battle trap really is why you would play this, or to force your opponent to activate cards so they don't get popped. Kind of like Grand Marg, you target back row, you have to kind of force your opponent to play it at that time. There's no other reason to play it really. You can force Book of Moons with this and things like that. So I mean, really good. Let's talk about the quote-unquote worst one. It's Xyz Dragon Cannon. I don't think it's the worst one. And a lot of people say, we need to cut this, we don't need to play this. But they're wrong. And why they're wrong is you know, we can talk about Zoma and the trap monsters and, you know, the stall cards and everything all day, but the main reason is magnetic field. As much as I like to dismiss magnet warriors, you can't, and the reason you can't is because of this card. So it's really important to play this, because if you don't, magnetic field kind of just hurts a lot. Magnet warriors are manageable if they don't have their field spell out on the field, but because they don't get the recursion effect and they don't get the bounce effect, because it's not there. Yeah. So I think it really is important to play XY mainly for the fact of getting rid of magnetic field. Like, yeah, you can play Cosmic Cyclone and stuff like that, but it's just really nice to have a walking face-up back row pop. He is the weakest, I believe. No, he's the second weakest. YZ is the weakest. XY is the second weakest, and that's at 22. Alright, whatever, it's fine. This one's a little bit harder to access. I mean, it's no harder than XZ, but, you know, people aren't really looking at this. Like, when I watch a lot of people play on Dueling Book, it seems like they look, hey, do I have XYZ, do I have YZ? And sometimes, if they're really good players, they'll be like, hey, do I have XZ, right? But they never look and say, oh, I have XY, this can help out for a problem. Because I've seen it multiple times where people need to summon this, and either they don't realize that they had the ability to summon this and pop something, or they just didn't play it, I guess. Because they're over here playing 2-2-2 instead, I guess, whatever. But I think XY definitely has a spot here in the extra deck. And if you really don't like that idea, then it should be in your side. I don't care. It needs to be somewhere where it's accessible to be played, whether gamed 1, 2, or 3. Super important. And if you're like, well, I don't want to put it inside, put it in main and put whatever other one, maybe XZ inside. I really don't care. But this needs to be accessible in at least one of the games that you play, to have the ability to be summoned. But yeah, moving on. You know, I've already mentioned the trap monsters, mainly trap monsters. You don't want to deal with them. Summon XY, pop them. Ooh, they're gone. Great. Especially things like Meta Reflex Line that we can't get over. Only way you have over them is XY and XYZ. But summoning XYZ and then getting Lost Wind trying to pop this sucks. So, you know, XY is your second best shot. It costs less materials as well. Same thing with Nightmare Wheel. Just popping stuff. It's nice. Anything that'll be back row stall like this is hard to get over unless you're playing something like Cosmic Cyclone, and more deck lists that we look at, they show less people playing Cosmic Cyclone even inside, for XYZ at least. So it's important to play this because you never know. And you can say, well, what if it gets Lost Wind? Okay, at least you tried. You're losing that anyway. You're losing it anyway if you don't run this because you don't have a way out. You can say, oh, well, I'm going to summon XYZ. Yeah, but that's going to get Lost Winded too. Yeah. And it costs more material. So I really don't understand the argument of that. Of saying, well, I'm not going to play XY because I can summon XYZ and do the same thing. Okay, yeah, but if it gets Lost Wind, it doesn't matter either. So that's a fallible argument that people make. So. And I very much dislike that. So overall, there is a super important relevance for each of these four, and unfortunately, we don't have an 8-card side deck or even an extra deck or even a 7-card extra deck. If I had a 7-card extra deck, this would be a lot easier. You would just play 2-2-2-1, but unfortunately, I have a 6-card extra deck, and I've seen so many different ratios for it too. Most usually, this stays at 2. Xyz Dragon Cannon, it's usually a 2 of in the extra deck, so we got 2 of our spots usually gone. And sometimes we see 2 YZ and 2 XZ and none of this, so there's your 6. But again, I think that's wrong. Sometimes you'll see 1 YZ, 2 XZ, and 1 XY. That's doable. Again, as long as this is accessible within any one of your 3 games that you play, it's important. And then the last combo we usually see is 2 of this, 2 YZ, 1 XZ, and 1 XY. I can see why people wouldn't like that, mainly for the fact that XZ is the second strongest. Okay. I have no problem with that. I have no problem with people playing 2 of this and 1 of this instead of 2 of this and 1 of this. I think that is something that you can flip around depending on how the meta shapes up. But overall, I think XY always has a permanent mainstay in the extra deck, at least at 1. So that's why you should be playing every single one of these, even if it's just at 1 each. Which, you know, you're not going to play 1 each and only play 4 cards, but you know what I mean. You're going to play at least 1 of each of these in the extra deck. Mainly for these reasons. You know, again, last little bit of information again, just to recap. XYZ, you're obviously going to play it, pops everything. YZ, get rid of the stall monsters or destruction monsters. XZ, battle traps. And XY, mainly for magnets, as they gain more prominence and get a foothold in the meta, as well as the other stall cards and trap monsters as well. It's a very important card to be playing. Yeah, that's really it. Thank you for watching, by the way. If you've got this far throughout the video, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, maybe give us a share here or there if you would like to, and check out all the links down below as usual. All the Discords, Cursive's Twitch, and the P.O.G's Twitter page, which I probably should start posting to more. I'll probably start posting the videos there even more. But overall, yeah, this is why you should be playing every single one of these fusions, at least at 1. That's the video. Thanks for watching. Yeah, anyways. Yeah, let us know down below in the comments as well what you guys think. What your ratios are that you play if you play XYZ in speed duels. What your ratios are. Why or why not you like playing certain ratios. Why you don't like other ratios. Leave a comment again down below if you're jokingly one of the bad players who doesn't play XY. But yeah, that's gonna be it for me today, guys. Don't forget to like. Oh, I already said all that stuff, right? Usually I say it at the end. But yeah, that's gonna be all for me today, guys. This is Kevin with P.O.G's. Until next time, see ya.